Hi, I'm Laura Ingle. After a brief hiatus, the investigation into the Trump team's alleged ties to Russia is back in the headlines, this time with former Trump advisor Carter Page, a relative unknown until he started working for the future president. Page himself has described himself as an oil industry consultant and U.S. Naval Academy midshipman. An unverified dossier by British intelligence officer Christopher Steele names Page as the campaign's point of contact for Russia. Page told Fox News he is cooperating with the Senate Intelligence Committee's probe. Here to discuss is former federal prosecutor and criminal defense attorney Doug Burns, friend of the program. Thank you for joining me
My
today.
pleasure. Thank you.
All right, let's get to it. Who is Carter Page? Describe for us what you know.
Well, it's interesting. He's a graduate of the Naval Academy, and then he worked in the oil industry. Has contacts, around the globe in energy and oil.
Okay.
By virtue of that, Laura, he was interfacing, with Russian businessmen. And then there came a time when he started working as a foreign policy advisor for the Trump campaign. There's a little bit of a dispute about that. The Trump campaign kind of, backed off a little, but no, he did work for the Trump campaign. And now this unverified dossier, as you described it, names him as interacting with some Russian businessmen. The thing that's interesting, though, is that there was an actual prosecution, a case in the Southern District of New York, here in Manhattan, federal court, and a Russian individual pleaded guilty, got 30 months in prison. He's actually being released right around now, today, tomorrow, going back, deported out of the United States. And Carter Page's name came up in that case, but nobody ever laid a glove on him, so to speak, and he wasn't charged or arrested with anything. So, I mean, the reality of this situation is, one characterization is, he dealt with Russian businessmen about energy. The other more nefarious characterization, obviously, is no, he was acting as some kind of, agent with the Russians to collude on the election. I think it's actually a bit of a weak case against him, in my opinion.
We keep hearing the word unverified with this, right? The dossier is unverified, but it's still seemingly a pretty big deal and taken seriously by the Senate Intelligence Committee.
Yes.
So, what could you tell us about that? How does this play out in that committee?
Yeah, well, basically, he'll go in and testify. See, the problem with this case, I know it's a tired, worn-out cliche, which is, the cover-up's worse than the crime. The reality is there's more danger, in my opinion, me having just said that I don't think there's a substantive case on him, for things like spying. But if he gets jammed up, as we lawyers call it, with inconsistent statements and that type of thing, it could become a problem. So, I mean, we've seen videos of him saying, look, there's no basis to this stuff. Now he's going to have to go in and reaffirm that in front of a congressional committee, and it'll go from there.
And when we talk about the FISA warrants.
Yes. The FISA warrant is a bit misunderstood, okay? So real quick, people are a little too quick in the political context to say, there was a FISA warrant against him. That means there was probable cause that a crime was committed. That's not necessarily the case.
That's a very important distinction.
Huge distinction, because a FISA warrant simply tells a court that you're seeking foreign intelligence information. Here's why, here's how. So you must draw that distinction. I have to give credit to Andy McCarthy. He pointed that out in an excellent National Review article where he explained flat out that it doesn't mean that there's probable cause that Carter Page was involved with a crime. So, look, I don't have a crystal ball, but I don't think there's going to be a viable case against this man.
You don't. So these allegations, from what you know about Carter Page,
yes,
and what you know about the allegations, you don't think that these two are going to be put together in a substantive way?
I have to correct myself. If he gets in trouble for, inconsistent statements all the way up to lying, which is a very strong word, that's different. But on the substance of was he some type of agent, was he spying, I do not believe the evidence supports that.
And in terms of the spying part, what kind of information is being kicked around that he may have shared?
Well, he claims flat out, all I discussed was things. It was funny, on one video that I watched, all I gave him was what I gave to my NYU students, okay? So he's pretty confident, pretty clear. Again, I don't editorialize in terms of prejudging a case, but from what I've seen, based on my 31 years of experience, based on being a federal prosecutor in 9 years, I don't think that he was spying for the United States.
Okay. Doug Burns, thank you so much for being here.
Sorry.
All right. We got you. All right, Doug Burns, thanks for being here. And
my pleasure.
For complete political coverage, you want to stay right here on FoxNews.com. I'm Laura Ingle. Thanks for watching.